Okay. And if I did everything right, we should be live right now. So, hello, Hound Dogs. We're on the air with Power Squared right now, and I'm Julia Canon. As you can see, the boys are not here today. They're actually at Comic-Con right now. So, if you guys are chilling out over there right now, I would suggest giving them a holler if you see them. So, I figured today, we would do something a little bit different instead of just me explaining what I do in terms of behind the scenes for like 20 minutes. I'll just go into the works of like how I do it, just how I normally would, in like a normal working day. Figured it'd be nice just to do that. Hopefully I did everything correct. I was testing it with a friend earlier that you should be hearing me. But yeah. It's been a hot minute since I've streamed, so hopefully I still got it, so to speak. Like aside from obviously hanging out with these guys every now and then for like up to date like updates on the book and also just book club. I honestly haven't been streaming for myself lately, so this is a bit of a not new territory, but it's just been a while. Uh but yeah, I figured I would work on one of the pages today that's in our Dropbox. And this is actually this is one of the pages from issue 30, I believe. So we've been going through a few artists now and then. So if you guys notice, this is a different artist from any of the new issues that have been released lately. Our former artists who Rachel and Jen, they don't work with us anymore. They've gone to pursue other things. So now we have a new artist in our, like, I don't want to say arsenal, but like it sounds, I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't sound very nice, but we have a new person on our team. We've had her for a bit. She did our issue 29 and she's also doing issue 30 with us. It's just her name is Wendy Renard. So I'm going to be working on her pencils and bits of shading today. And oops, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I always get nervous whenever I work on streams by myself, so hopefully I'm not too awkward. Because I've always been like, I don't know, it's a bit odd. Let me see if the thing's actually working. Let's see. New chat. Let's see. But yeah, everything should be working. You should be hearing me. And for the gentlemen who are going to be watching this VOD when they come back from Comic-Con, I should have set up my stream and my OBS to play music while it's streaming, and there should be no audio or anything of the speak or like any like music when you replay it back via the recording on Twitch or my own personal recording. I made sure of that just for the sake of like everything going on with like Twitch right now with their thing going on. So if that works, and if anyone on stream is willing to double check that for me, just let me know. And if it's not working, I will tune it. I will fix it accordingly. But anyways, let's do less talking and more coloring. So, like I said, the inks and the sketches were done by Wendy Renard, and I believe no, I not believe. She's been working with us for a couple of issues now. So, this is another one of her pages I'll be coloring today. So, I use this program called Clip Studio Paint. And the way I usually use it is like obviously to use the coloring. Wow, shocker. But something I've always noticed is like one of the default ways people usually do it is they'll set like if you guys are looking over here, if it'll even show, hang on. Yeah, so if you notice here that sometimes what people will do will set the line work layer to multiply because it's all white, and that will give us like room to play when playing in the background like here. The thing is, sometimes I want to color in maybe whatever Wendy did here to a different color just to add a bit more like depth or just to make it like more colorful, so to speak. But so what I'll do instead is I would go to um to the layer I want to that has the line work and everything. And then I would go to edit, and there's going to be a little thing called here called convert brightness to opacity. So that basically does it takes out all of the white or basically all of the light in an image, and it'll leave whatever was a brighter color into a transparency. That is the best way I can explain it from what I see. But yeah, that's how I basically start off working on like the coloring. So I want to make sure I have room to play and color what I need to color in. So that's the first part. Now, sometimes I jump around in how I do my process, and it just depends on my mood. But what I'll usually do sometimes is the first thing I'll do is I'll make sure there is a white there is still a white background in the back on a different layer, just so I'm not looking at a transparency all the time. And then I will also make a border outside of the panels just so in case I color over each panel, it still looks clean. Bit of a little life hack for you if you're coloring in panels like this, especially. So I colored it in red just to show you guys that hey, I put like an extra thing in here. But then I will alpha lock that layer and then basically just fill it in accordingly. But afterwards, normally I don't really name my layers, but just for the sake of like showing you what you should be doing, you should definitely try to layer your stuff. Don't be like me. So that way you'll know where things are when you're trying to look for something. Another little nifty thing you would probably do is just change the color of the layer just so like at first glance you have a good idea of where everything is. This is one thing like I've been trying to get into a habit of doing just for the sake of organizational stuff, not just for this project, obviously just for everything. But yeah. So right now I have basically the background and then the layer for the borders. And then basically anything I want to do, I will color in between them. Just so like I'll have something behind. Like I'm gonna be exporting everything as a TIFF per like what the boys want. But usually if like say if you're exporting it as a PNG or something, sometimes it's best just to have something in the background here just so there's not like a pixel of transparency just in case. But yeah. So what I usually do first is I just like color in the boys first or like any of the people there. I do my organizing a bit different. Like everybody does it a bit differently, but this is what I do. Um let's see. Oopsies. Sometimes I would use the bucket tool when it comes to it, but just because of like how Wendy does her stuff, sometimes this will happen where there's like little spots. I know there are ways to like alleviate that, but like sometimes, especially with me transferring from like a computer to a laptop to iPad all the time, I've just kind of gotten tired of trying to play around and tweaking the settings. So I kind of like just oops, I'm using the wrong paintbrush for this. Oopsies. I'm using the wrong pen for this one. I just kind of like just go about it my own way, and it turns out just fine. I either use like the pen tool and just go around it, but sometimes if I'm feeling a bit whimsical, I'll use the oopsies. I'll use the lasso fill, where it's basically like the selection tool, except it's like all automatic with whatever color you have selected. So it just yeah, it just selects it for you, or like it. You don't have to go through selecting another button just to fill it out, just essentially. So like say if you want to like make a little circle here, you can. I'm pretty sure some of you guys have seen that little like Twitter thing of like people like some artists doing that. And then I actually have I actually have another preset for an eraser as well, just so I can do that. But yeah. Sometimes like depending on like what is there, um, I'll leave certain layers separately from what the objects are. But nowadays I try to like keep the objects and people in like the same, I guess, main layer until I start clipping like smaller stuff onto it. If you guys don't know what clipping a layer is, I'll show that to you in just a moment um after I'm done like selecting everything here. But yeah, this is what I usually do sometimes whenever I'm feeling a bit whimsical. But for the most part, I just kind of like circle around it. Um but yeah, let's see. Then sometimes I'll press shift 2 if it's like a straight line. So like if ever you do want to make straight lines in Twitch, there's two ways. Twitch, Clip Studio Pro. I'm sorry. There's two ways. One, you can press shift and then like it'll go from where your pen let go last, and then it'll go from there. Or another one they actually recently put in there. I believe it was either this update or the last update. Is with any pen or whatever, whether if it's a vector layer or a raster layer, you can hold and then it'll go from there. So the reason why it's a bit there's a pen sensitivity there is because that's how usually the strokes are with this certain pen, the G pen. But like if you do want like a straight like from like one blob to another like straight like that, there are certain pens that do it for you. So it just depends on the pen sensitivity and the pressure and everything there. But yeah, you can also those are two ways you can make straight lines. Yeah, so like I said, whenever I color things in, I do it in layers in a sense of my first layer is just laying down the object, like laying down what the objects are, like where the people are and like whatever they're holding or just like little knickknacks, like whether if there's like a coffee cup, as you can see here, or like maybe a backpack or whatever. I make sure those are like in a separate layer just so um yeah, actually, I'm going to make this thing transparent, so I'm going to leave that alone for a second. And like whatever like what effects I have, I decide to do on certain things, I'll leave it alone. But right now, those are okay. Um, let's see. Yeah, and like I've had people going like, "Oh, why don't you just use this tool to make your thing easier? Why don't you use that one to make it a bit faster?" Now, granted, I know like there are certain tools out there that could make like my stuff a bit faster. Well, it's going back to the thing of like sometimes I don't have the time or no, do I have like I guess the mental capacity to probably like make the setting like set up the settings for it, which that's kind of that is 1000% of me problem. I should really look into that. But also I've kind of learned, especially like getting some of my process done. Sometimes it's just satisfying to like color it on my own, but that's just me. Everybody does things differently, and this is how I do it. Different. This is how I do things. Given that I'm streaming right now, I figured this would be a nice time just to like unwind and just like talk about my process and just like anything really. But yeah, like I said, the boys are at Comic-Con right now, I believe. So they basically put me in charge of it. So I decided that this time around I would just do like a bit of a chill art stream instead of just like the last, I believe like the last time I did a stream, um I just did like a bit of a behind the scenes of what we do. And that didn't last too long. So I decided this time around, like, it's a bit of a behind the scenes, but it's a bit more of like, this is how my normal workday is. At least in terms of like freelancing and working for Power Squared. But yeah. And if there's anybody in chat, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer them as well. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Sorry, I'm also just like checking my phone right now, just because some stuff I ordered a while back, like it's on its way here, and given that um I don't want to get my stuff stolen, I'm just making sure that I grab it once it's here. It's not here yet, but we'll see. But yeah. I guess just like to like start the convo a bit more. Like I know I've like talked about myself a couple of times, I think on stream and also in the very beginning when they interviewed me. But I guess for anyone who's new or just doesn't know who I am, at least for Power Squared, my name is Julia Canon. I go on Twitch. I go by Blythe POV. I haven't really streamed as much, but funnily enough, I do have an account here. I used to stream back in the day, and I've been a colorist for them since I believe 2019, 18. Like basically before the pandemic, and I've just been with them ever since. I've like aside from like I was one of their artists for this comic for a few issues, but due to like due to some personal stuff and everything, I decided to back down. And then that's when Jen and Wendy basically came into play. I still do the coloring for them, and on occasion I help them out with things, primarily streaming when they're gone. And like aside from stuff, like I have like brought in people that I figured would be good for interviews as well here. So I know they also bring in like other comic book artists and people in this sphere for like interviews on like how to make it out there, just art in general, good old things like that. But yeah, I've also done a few streams here when with the boys gone with the prior artists, Jen and Rachel. She was the one I was on board with before everything. And but yeah, she would come in every now and then too for book club, and then I would sometimes have her on with me for like little drawing challenges that were power squared related, and like little things like that. So whenever I try to come be in charge here, we try to have a little bit of fun here. Not to say it's never fun, but yeah. Aside from coloring, though, I do draw. I haven't really posted anything in a hot minute. Just like I know I should really post a lot more, just for the sake of portfolios and just yeah, and just like for the sake of like showing off my stuff. Though it's just like I'm still in the working balance of still trying to like balance out just I guess working with freelance, but then also trying to basically work a 9 to 5. I think the one advice I've always heard with like any, I guess, like indie projects or whatever you do, I think it's just, I think it's just like a standard of like, don't quit your day job, but like working in retail and customer service, which is what I do, obviously it can add a bit of like stab you a bit when just trying to get things done. And unfortunately, I've hit that road many a times when trying to balance the two. Like just saying, customer service and retail is not for the weak. Godspeed if you are in it and you are struggling, my my guys and gals. But I feel like eventually, with enough perseverance, like the people will find the balance, or I will find the balance. So that's all I got to say about that. Forrest Gump. But yeah, um, wait, I wonder if I can still do the okay. Okay, that one worked just fine. But yeah, like sometimes I'll just like go between like certain ways to do something, just to yeah. Oh, oopsies. Mm. Sorry, I forgot to do some social media stuff before going live. Like I said, I am very bad at this. It's been a hot minute since I've done anything on the internets. Granted, with how scary the internet is, though, can you blame me? Not saying it's an excuse, but eh. Light plus. How you doing, Watcher? Also, shout out to Watcher. He was helping me out beforehand just because I did not know how to figure out OBS. So he was basically my test audience in my last stream, just trying to make sure that the video wasn't playing when it was recorded because I do not want to get the boys in trouble for copyright stuff. Granted, I'm playing stuff on that Lo-Fi Beats channel, but you can never be too careful, right? I mean, I don't know anymore. I don't know how anything works. I'm old. Okay. I mean, granted, with how I have everything set up now, I just realized I could like listen to bicyclical robots if I wanted to. But nah, I'm not doing that. Not right now, at least. I'm in a lo-fi mood, so we are listening to lo-fi for the time being. And I feel like I'm gonna have that one person eventually going like, "Hey, streamer, how come you're coloring them blue? Why don't you just like do X, Y, Z?" Well, in case actually some like anyone who's actually like genuinely curious, I usually start off with like a very, very, I guess I want to say obnoxious color beforehand, just so it kind of like it basically blocks out. It's easier for me to see between like the full on black and white canvas, just so it's a tad bit easier for me to see if I overshot something. And then going back to what I said earlier in terms of like doing a clipping clipping something, um basically this is just like a foundation for when I start filling in basically everything else. So is this just a foundation for me to build upon after I fill it out? Also, for the sake of layers and folders and stuff, it's just easier for me. Obviously, there are other ways of doing things, but going back to my first point, like everybody, something I've learned when it comes to like digital art or just like art in general, or I guess anything in general, is that like everybody does things a little bit differently, whether if it's simpler or harder or more efficient or XYZ. And speaking for myself here, this is something I've just grown used to, grown accustomed to, and it works for me. Obviously, my routine or just the way I do things will change over time, but I feel like that's just normal. But for now, this is how I do things. Like recently, like I wasn't even aware of the lasso fill tool until like maybe like some like late last year. So yeah, things change all the time. Where's okay? So this is it's just the hand here. Okay. Another thing you always have to pay attention to when doing coloring is come on, buddy, is paying attention to what objects are, because basically sometimes you have to like I had to squint here for a second because I didn't know. Okay, these are two hands and stuff. Another thing too is looking over at a script. Oh, excuse me. I know I had the script here somewhere. Shoot 30 folder. Okay. But yeah, okay, I could have sworn I had the script here. Projects squared. Oh wait, what the? Mm-hmm. I thought you were making a meme. I just thought you were making a meme like Blue Man Group meme. No text below, just expression. Honestly, that's a valid take as well. Okay, wait. Okay, that is blank space. I should not be coloring that in for the objects. See, so whenever you're coloring in stuff, especially when it's someone's work, you always have to pay attention to where everything is. Because at first glance, it may be simple, but then when you actually take a look at what needs to be colored, it's like, yeah, oops. I will say though, like in terms of social media and stuff, a lot has changed over the years, which Fair enough. That's usually how like life is in a sense, but it feels like I don't know. I think the one thing that stopped me from like I guess going back to my own stuff again is just like the fear of how the internet is, especially with like AI and everything now. It's actually like from at a first glance, it's actually just gotten kind of ridiculous. Like you make one little tiny mistake, you're like, "Oh my god, that's AI. It has six fingers." In reality, you genuinely just like were dumb for like 2 seconds and added an extra finger. Quite frankly, it's like as funny as those like that drama is. It's also kind of annoying because like, come on, dude. And then just the whole thing of the internet just like picking every single battle they can. It's like I get it, but also like, come on, man. Okay. Okay. That being said, a little bit of a message for the boys if they make it this far. If I did everything correctly, there should be no music in the VOD that I'm going to be sending you, or if you download it off Twitch. So if you guys want to put in your own music, you're more than welcome to. Like I said, I just took an extra precaution just to make sure you guys don't get like flagged or something for copyright. Well, whether if it's on Twitch or YouTube, because I know like that stuff can be very, very annoying. So I got you. Okay. Let's see. There's no music. There's no. All right, thank you, Watcher. Like I said, shout out to Watcher for making sure I didn't done goof my obs. Let me see real quick. Oh, okay. Hang on. Sorry. All right. Sorry, ladies and germs. I'll be right back. I need to pick up a package. I'm back. Okay. I think like the one thing I'll never get used to with streaming is like you always have to have. I'm not saying like, well, maybe not always, but you always have to have something to say. Okay. Wait, hang on. Edit. Change canvas size. Oh no, don't tell me. Okay. Change resolution. Let's change this to inches. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, so what I just did is sometimes you're able to play around with resolution. Well, not sometimes. So with most programs, you're able to play around with the resolution. So basically what I just did is I changed the resolution because the canvas was too small. And I did this for both just so I have more room to play with, but also for the sake of printing, it's for the sake of everybody else. So, usually, it's best to always have the canvas at whatever it is. So this one is for the standard page, which is like 7 by 10.5 for a comic. But I guess I'm not sure exactly why, but it was half that size. So I basically just expanded, like I basically just like just made it a bit more. So I'm not sure if that's just more of a choice because of the hardware on the artist part, but yeah, as long as you're doing something that shouldn't be overall objective to that something to say, as long as you're doing something that shouldn't be an overall objective to have something to say, unless, like basically keep everything relevant. Roger. Like if that's what you're saying, then yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I just had to do that just because I realized I was working on a very tiny canvas, and for the sake of printing as well, that is probably not a good call on them. An artist doesn't have to say something that's true. But I also know in terms of like viewer retention and just like being live, dead silence is also bad. So it's like it's kind of hard to it's like a balancing act. Even before I went dead, it was something I was never good at. Like, unfortunately, I was always piggybacking on my friends whenever they were on stream with me because I can never find anything to say. So, but it's something I have to work on. So, yeah. I think though the one thing, because I was trying to find someone to help me, not really help, well, to basically interview. Or I was thinking of calling in someone to interview for while the boys were gone, but unfortunately, people I had in mind, they're busy, or I didn't want to bother them too much because I understand they were dealing with too much on their plate. Which I know I could have asked them. The worst they can do say is no. But I don't know. I feel like I should still be considerate if I'm aware that they're dealing with stuff. So I decided, you know what? Maybe this time around, because people who I've also asked, like they're like, no, unfortunately, can't do it this time. I decided, you know what? Let's just stream me working. Because something I've always noticed, I guess with, I don't like, this is part me talking out of my ass, but something I've just kind of observed is people like to see the behind the scenes. People like to see how their things are made. Someone call me out right now if I'm wrong. That being said, I figured it's always cool to see how things are done in the process. So maybe just watching someone work on a page or like just things in general. It's pretty cool to look. It's pretty cool to watch, and just in a way, it's also interesting. And I think with a medium like with comic books and art in general, it's always cool to see the work in progress or them just like working on it in real time. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. Some people want the instant gratification of like, but everybody like, then they're like they are in their every right to think that as well. But I feel like most of the internet is like they like seeing the work in progress and stuff like that, and like seeing the reason as to why they do certain things on like their work, and seeing how they do it. I remember like YouTube has a plethora of like has like a plethora of like artists who do speed paints all the time, but I think the one that um like I like not only did I look up to him as an artist just cuz like his stuff was really cool or is really cool, might I add. And like just how he goes about it was always interesting to me. Um his YouTube handle, it was by it goes they go by ABD Illustrates. I believe their real name is Alex. And he I've always liked his artwork and like his process on how he did things. Like I remember like he did like a series called Concept Corner. Would basically he would like talk about like what came like how did he think of these characters, and then obviously while doing so it would have a speed paint of him drawing them. So like he wasn't the start of me like liking it, but he's like one of the main honestly he's one of the main dudes like I still watch to this day whenever like I tend to sketch on my own or I'm just trying to think of something. Cuz it's like his thought process like on how he does things, like it's easy for me to understand. Or like to say like, you know what, fair enough, like yeah, I like I understand why you made them how they are, and like the little subtle references of like how you do these characters. And then on top of that, it's just nice to see the process of them drawing it. Like how many sketches did it take for you to get to where you are, to get to this point? And then also just like a step by step on how he does things. I remember he did a video on like how he made this comic for a competition, and like the way he did it in his process was easy to digest, if that makes any sense. And on top of that, his art is just very good. Like I really, really like his art style. Like love even. It it also helps that he also likes the same fandoms I do. So like Ruby, Genshin Impact, um, and then a few musicals that I also like. So that also added to it. But also just his art style just being like evolving over the years, going from like painted to like the cartoony anime aesthetic he has now. Like it's like in simpler terms, it's very pretty, and also in a way, it's like in a type of aesthetic that like in a way I aspire to be. Wait, should I? Okay, I'll do those tiny ones in another layer. Sorry, just thinking ahead. I should really finish up this part though, because I don't want to dawdle too long and just trying to draw blue, color everything in blue. Okay, so it really should not be taking me this long. Oh well. Still though, there's like I said, there's like something, like there's still something satisfying, and this in my opinion, about like this type of like found like setting the foundation. Wait, no, that is. Oh yeah, that's his hair. That's one happy donut. Should I just do like for this one? Should I just do like the signature Homer donut, or? Also, I didn't have the like something I forgot to do is like forgot to add chat to the stream per se, like in terms of like visually. So for anyone watching this on YouTube, um, I'm just gonna be like I'll do my best to like voice whenever someone chats in, just to like to give context to what I'm explaining. Exclusive yellow donut and blue sprinkles, like the old Pikachu Pop Tart collab. Wait, that's a thing? Wait, what? Like what? So like, what's the gimmick? Like you get to eat Pikachu, the old one. Oh, I feel like that's more traumatizing than fun. Or am I old? Because it's like I don't know. The '90s were weird, man. Like on one hand we got the cutesy stuff, and then a lot of stuff that was just traumatizing. Wait, no, that's part of the tiles. Okay, let's get rid of that. But yeah, so this is what I mean. So I thought this was part of the genes, but it wasn't. So it was part of the tiles. So that's something you always have to keep a look at when you're coloring stuff in for other that's other people's art, especially for like a colorist like job like this. So it's always like good to pay attention. So it's like at least for me, it's a combination of like paying attention and then just playing around with it if I don't have any more context clues of like what could this be, and then I play around with it from there. I did that a lot like with some of Rachel's backgrounds back in the day, and then like I managed to make it work. And I think like with any job, it's always just being flexible with things because sometimes you're gonna have to like think of a way to do something. Like here's a good example: the layers and the way like Wendy does things, the layers like the shadowing of here and everything are on one cohesive layer. So I have to play around with it sometimes whenever I want to do like other shadows, because the black and white here, like I can't inherently mess with the values there, so I have to mess with it one way or another, while also keeping the aesthetic, so to speak. But yeah, other than that though, it's a pretty satisfying process. Especially like if you're into like those people who like you either do or watch like those people that coloring books or something, I guess. I guess that's also part of the appeal when watching people do stuff. I think though, like what people don't understand sometimes is whenever they see speed paints and then they see someone actually working on it, it's like a lot slower. Which like yeah, like pardon my French, no shit Sherlock, but it's like I think that's like the one thing that like it's kind of like a downside to like I guess content creation, because especially in this day and age with like shorts and stuff, you have to like basically like make it snappy. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but I'm like snapping to make the point. But like it's another thing too. It's like, bro, like basically like bro, paciente, por favor. Like it does take time. Obviously, there's like such thing as too slow, but it's like those speed paints you have, like they're sped up to like 1,000,000. So like if you're able to draw that fast, good lord. Like obviously like animators exist, but in like a sense of like that level of speed, it's like that's not always going to be the case. And then there's other factors too that like I guess it's kind of like the downside of like fast, I guess like quick media, like quick content. But, come see, come saw. Or it is what it is. I don't know. I'm speaking out of my butt half the time. I'm sorry. I think that's also, like, the other downside to, like, I guess, like, going back into social media if I were to. It's just, like, I'm all for yapping. I'm a yapper. I have friends that are yappers. But it's, like, also that sense of, like, there are times to yap, and then there are times to not yap. Or, like, if, like, there are times where, you know, like, the yapping is being forced, and it's just, like, that's another issue in its entirety. Hang on, the wild cherry filling, yellow frosting with Gen 1 Pokemon sprinkles. Drunk yapping? It's not, yeah, like, the yapping of the heart. But yeah, like, I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with yapping because I know yapping a lot can be a problem too. Like, I've been on both sides of that. I've been on both sides of that conversation. So it's like, it's weird. I think that's also why with streaming, it's like, I don't know. Like, it's one thing to start a conversation out of nothing, but it's like, I don't know. It's talking's weird, especially when you're technically talking to yourself. My neighbors probably think I'm crazy right now. I mean, granted, I'm in Discord calls with my friends all the time, so they probably think I'm like a crazy person talking to themselves at night. But I digress. Oops. That was the eraser. My bad. Call by yourself, like, no, like, whenever, like, I'm playing games or I'm working on other stuff besides this, like, I'll be in calls with them. But because I'm on my headphones all the time, my neighbors probably think I'm just talking to myself like a crazy person. Okay, let's just do this. Take that off. So what I did, I just took off, like, something here, and then boom. Okay. Alright, cool. Now let's change the thing. Oh, here's one. So, a normal artist, or anyone who uses Clip Studio, will probably notice I don't have, like, a little color wheel in the corner. Thing is, I have this little thing called a tour box. I'm not sponsored by them by any means. I just have their product because I like it. They recently updated their thingy where it has, like, this little thing where if you hit one of their macro keys and you set it up to one of the buttons, it gives you a little thing here, so you can set it up closer to where you are. And it's actually pretty nifty. I actually like it. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. Depending on the item, sometimes I will put smaller items like this in their own little layer, just so I'm not cluttering everything. I'm actually debating now, should I? Nah, I'm committed. I was debating on whether I should, like, also make the stuff they're holding a different layer, but I'm like, nah, it's fine. Granted, I guess a more, like, seasoned person would, like, have everything on separate layers, but I don't have that type of mental fortitude, especially, like, with digital artists having, like, a bajillion layers already. So whenever I can, I just do my best to keep it simple. This is my way of keeping it simple. But like I said, if you guys have any questions or something on, like, how I do something, or hey, how did you do that, or XYZ, never be afraid to ask. And who knows, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, who knows, I might take a look at that and answer it for you. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. And if you're also here and you guys are interested in the story of Power Squared, why don't you drop a like and subscribe so you can know when the next issues are coming out. And obviously take a look at our website. Oh. Our website, powersquaredcomics.com, I believe. There should be a link in the description of the channel itself and also here on Twitch if you're watching it. It leads you to the website where it shows you their newsletter, our staff basically, and like basically the gist of the story itself. I would say take a gander. Obviously not now, like after the stream, but yeah, like put in your bookmarks. Take a gander when you can. Is there a personal reason for it being blue? Is it a random? No, it was just the color that was there when I booted up. Like sometimes I'll like have it in red, sometimes I'll have it in pink, purple. It just depends on what's already there for me from like my last like little session. So it's like there's no reason why. It's just it's there. And oh, you asked another question. I'm sorry. Is it random or is there to identify people using blue? Wait, is it random or is there a tool that identifies people using blue? Yes and no, Watcher. So when you saw me filling in things like via the fill tool, what basically what happened was I was using basically this thing called it was basically setting as a I used this thing where I set the line layer as a reference layer. I'm not sure if you're able to see it too much, but I'm selecting something. And then basically it'll select at a certain point. So hang on a second, let me just wait, oops. Sorry, that's some stuff I was doing the other day. So here's a good example. So say I have a doodle, right? Like and like I wanted to color it in. If I were to set it up as a reference layer, I would select it and then do the fill tool, and it's basically going to select everything there. Obviously, there's a bit of a threshold when it comes to like certain like say like there's like lines out, which is kind of like an issue sometimes, which I can play around with closing the gap like that, but depending on how like I guess how many gaps there are in like certain line works, sometimes it's a hassle, sometimes it's easy depending on trying to set it up. Oops. Sorry, I was like working on other stuff earlier. But yeah, because of like how intricate some of the stuff is, and I don't want to deal with trying to playing around with the gaps and everything, especially like when I'm working on my own art and then someone else's, which it kind of gives me like a reason to like why I end up like raw dogging it most of the time. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. If it didn't, then I can elaborate a bit more. Just ask me how. Okay. But yeah, so like when I set it up as a raster layer, the thing is though, because her shading, Wendy's shading is on the same layer, it's kind of hard to, like, especially for the reference layer, to really commit to one bit. So that's why it looks a bit messy. Like, granted, I'm still able to color in stuff, but it's like, I don't know. I do what I can. Oh, I forgot to add someone there. Oopsies. See, this one is a bit easier because, like, there's nothing really messing with it. But other than that, oops, I digress. There we go, and there we go. Oh, I forgot to add the body there. Hang on, wait, was someone next to... Yeah, there was... Okay, I am just being silly, I guess. Here we are. So here, I am trying to color in the... couches, essentially. Because there is, like, slight gradient change, it's a bit harder for me to do that simple task of just filling it in. But it's okay. Still relatively easy to color. And then here's what I mean, because there was like a line difference here. I understand it, like, even with the gap, it's hard to really, for it to be perfect, especially when you're working on someone else's artwork. It could be a bit weird, so to speak. So yeah, I do my best, but yeah. Let's see, that's also the couch, so let's do that. I think that's their backpack, so I'm gonna assume that's a backpack, so I'm leaving it alone. But here, this is what I mean when I use, remember that I made like a little panel corner thing, border thing. So basically it helps essentially cover my messes. So like I checked it. So yeah, that's why I keep things like that. That's why I made that little border. Pretty nifty, huh? It's like adding a piece of paper on something before you spray paint it. Like when you see like the spray painting VODs. I'm just gonna assume. Oh, okay, I know what that is. Schoofer. Okay. Okay. No, I'll put the table overhead, so I don't have to worry about that. So yeah. But yeah, like I use different colors before committing to the original color of the set, just so I have to like I'm able to see what I'm doing, so to speak. I am blind when I'm placing colors down. Whoa. Okay, what the... okay, that's the window. Okay. But yeah, so like, just also looking at references and sometimes just looking at the images, or like, you can kind of tell what things are, and then you can separate it from there through layers. So these are curtains. So another thing I usually do just to make sure I'm not over flooding my layer compartments, like I said, this is just how I do things. I know people who have like a million layers under the sun for their own organizational stuff, but me, I'm a bit silly. So I tend to try to work with as little layers as I can, just so it's easier for me to find stuff at the end of the day. Granted, I also have folders to help me alleviate with that, but still. But for the sake of like the initial like setting everything down first, that's what I do. Other than that, though, it's pretty simple. So I have the couch and the curtains as one, just because I see those already. I think I'll put also the back drawers and table here, just to make sure I have something filled out. Okay, so that's one. And then now I'm going to do the tables next. Like I said, I don't want to focus on like colors for like the original colors first, just because I want to make sure I lay these out first. Oh, I should probably lay that backpack. I think that's a backpack because I feel like that's part of the backpack because I feel like that is too. Yeah, I'm just gonna put that down as a backpack. Okay, hang on. I'll be right back again. I heard my dad walk in, so I'm gonna make sure he's okay, and I'll be right back. I'm okay. I think the downside to sorry to bring it. I think another going back to the whole social media thing is, I've been so terrible at it with just producing promoting, just because I don't know. Like I said, it's not an excuse, but like social media's just been like a huge cesspool. So like, I don't know. Anyways, hang on. So I'm gonna color in the table next. Let's make this one a happy little purple. Like I said, everything I'm doing right now is not like the final coloring. It's just for me to lay out where everything is, and then I basically recolor it to what it's supposed to be. Okay, Watcher! Leave me alone. Did I? Oh no, did I do a time? Oh, darn it. I forgot to record the time lapse for this, damn it. I mean, technically I'm recording a time lapse right now, but the thing is about Clip Studio is it has its own little time lapse feature. Kind of like how Procreate does. Oh well, it's okay. I mean, I can technically start recording now and it should be fine. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a thingy first beforehand. Actually, no, I'll do it right now. Oh well, okay. There we go. So yeah, that's like a little fun thing to do if you wanna, especially with the whole age of AI, like when you have to prove you did it. So yeah, it's gonna look a bit weird on my end, but whatever. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But hey, I also have this stream as proof. So if someone's trying to prove that I used AI to color this thing, your days are numbered. That's okay. I wonder if it'll... Darn. Okay, whatever. It should be fine if I put these two together. They're slightly touching, but it should be fine. Let's say that if you guys here are here for comment or for Power Squared, on occasion I do stream for them. That's like whenever they're gone, like out of town or like stuff like this. And usually, like they leave me in charge. Like I ask them, hey, so is there anything specific you want me to do? And they basically trust me with whatever I do. But that being said, it also depends on what you guys want to see. So if you guys are here, you guys have any suggestions on what to stream, and it's like within our power. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube, just like leave a comment below what else you would like to see. Like power square stuff aside, like what else would you guys be down to like look at? Like maybe like silly shenanigans. Like I know the guys did play around with gaming at one point. I don't know which game they were playing, but maybe like one, like I remember we did it once for when we were playing Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. I would say that one was pretty fun, but like if you guys would be down to see that again, whether if it's live on Twitch or maybe just us doing like little shorts or something, that would be an interesting thing to watch. Or like it's up to you guys. But yeah, it also gives me a good idea on what maybe to stream as well, just because sometimes whenever I can't have people like anyone to interview on my end, it'd be cool. Like yeah, oh ouch. But yeah, be interesting to see like what you guys would want to see. So like yeah, I have free reign of what I want to do, but at the end of the day, like you guys are the audience, so like what would you guys like? Well, like what would you guys like to see from the Power Squared channel? Like comic book stuff aside, like which is like what we're mainly here for. I wonder, hang on, can I just do that without it? Okay. It's not too bad. I still have to clean it up a bit, but there we go. Yeah, this is what I also mean, like sometimes you have to like pay attention. Just because when everything is just one cohesive color, it can get confusing on what is what in the background. So with these checkered blocks, with this checkered flooring, excuse me, that can be a bit of a problem when trying to figure out where something starts and ends, whether if it's the floor itself or someone else walking on it. So it's not just like plopping in colors and calling it a day. You actually you have to pay attention to a certain degree. And granted, some stuff is easier to do than others, but still shouldn't stop you from paying attention. It's something you can easily mess up. Granted, sometimes I'll just mess with it a bit and then call it a day. So it's a weird thing of paying attention, but also picking your battles. Does that sound very contradicting? Yes, it does, but it is what it is, right? Oh, fudge. That's gonna be here. Yeah, and then sometimes I miss some stuff, so it doesn't hurt to go back and just go back from there. Let's go back to, oops. Let's select that. This one was relatively easy. There we go. And then it looked like that was already a red tile, so let's just go from there. Let's do the wall next. Let's do the wall here. And then the walls here and here. I'm going to do the background a different color just in case, because I want to play around with the gradient on that one. So let's color that in. And then let's make this one the same color too, just to not waste another layer on that one. And then blue. Oop. There we go. Okay, so for the most part, we have it colored. Now, do we call it a day, go to bed, and turn it in for the boys to grade? No, we don't. So what I'm going to do next is obviously color in what, like, the correct things. So, Clip Studio has this little built-in sub-view. You can put in your layers so you don't have to keep on putting it into the canvas you want, especially when you're working on multiple pages. This helps a bit. But yeah, so I actually do have a bit of a cheat sheet here for certain things. So do I still have it for... where is it? Hang on, do I still have it? Issue 35. Here's its references. So I have a little folder of a bunch of references and coloring. So let's take a sheet from here. Oh wait, no, that's the classroom, my bad. Let's see here. So we got this one, and then do they have any more of the no. So sometimes I'll look at the pages back in the old comic books to get my references, but nowadays I have like a specific folder full of references. Now, people who always say like, yeah, using references is not like viable in art. First of all, yes it is. Second, it's also viable for me considering I need to have at least the exact color or at least something close enough to make this story more cohesive. because obviously this does not look like the color of like the original campus. So it's always so like so I always have like a small little snippet of each scene to make sure that like it's everything looks the same at the end of the day. So I just filled up for the red. Oopsies. Let's do the pen. So there's like this reddish color, so I'm gonna fill that out for 1. And then also how I'm filling this out is I'm using an alpha lock option for the layers, so that way when I fill it in, it doesn't fill over what I've already colored. And then let's go for the table, which is this color, and fill that out. And then the windows, they're more of a white, grayish white, so I'm gonna recolor those into that one. See, this is where it starts looking like the actual comic. And then for the desk part, let's do this color. Like I said, the goal is just to make sure everything looks cohesively the same. And then the couch, it's more of a warm gray. So let's color pick that and then just fill it out from there. And then I don't remember there being a thing. Nor do I have a thing. Okay, so let me double check to see that see if I have a reference for the campus. Okay, that's the main one I got. But it's okay. So something I've learned with this comic is like things can change. Like now, you could chalk it up to, oh, it's a continuity error, but I also understand with this story that this thing goes on for like sometimes another story won't happen for a few months. So my logic is whenever I see a continuity in like the issues is enough time has gone by to where it's warranted someone wanted to change a photo or XYZ or whatever. So sometimes whenever I do color in stuff, I'll use that logic whenever I can't find something and I just play around. But that's just my way of thinking and most likely and possible coping. I don't know how it is with other stories, but that's how I think about it with this one. But yeah, you see how it's starting to look like the set? And let's change this one to gray. And yeah, we got the thing. Now let's start playing around with the blue objects here. So what I do for this one is I'm going to create a folder. I'm just going to name it people. Oops. I'm going to name it people. And then anything in here, I'm just going to... It's just more for organizational stuff, so I'm not going to get a million layers. This is what I meant when I'm going to get back to this layer with clipping. And no, it's not like clipping on Twitch where you just grab a thing. Well, it could be similar, but this is a different aspect of it. And let's see. So this is where we start going to what the original color of the boys are. So let's go to here. I have a little cheat sheet for myself here where I have all of the colors, the color swatches of the boys. So how I'll usually start it off first is I'll start it off with the skin tone. Oops. So, and I'll select the skin tone of each one of like their respectable one, essentially. If there's any background characters, I'll play around with like different skin tones and then just go from there. So like for this one, let's make him a little bit lighter. See? Now here, if I remember right, that is Kirby. One of the characters, Kirby. So let's take his skin tone in the swatcher and then just go from there. Obviously, his hair isn't going to be the same skin tone. It's more for my sake. And then I believe... Oh, no, sorry. That's Steve. This one's Kirby. My bad. So, yeah. And let's grab Kirby. And then just go from there. And then just same thing. Just start coloring it in. this is where everything starts. Like I said, this is where everything starts to look cohesive. And then let's do dawn. It's like a cheat. Like which one? The color swatches or like the like? What do you mean? Why is he the same color as the table? What the hell? Hang on. Power squared desktop. Oh no. The quick color grab. Yeah. Yeah, because like they're right there. Mm. Mm. Oh, no, the brown is actually darker. Okay, so that reference was a bit off. Well, granted. Okay, sorry. I'm looking at a different layer here for something else, for another thing, cuz I don't remember the thing being this. Okay, you know what? It's fine. Let's change that. So right now I'm currently grabbing the color from a different window of mine. No. Oops. Oh, God damn it. Sorry, hang on. Yeah, so the color of the table was a bit darker than what's on that swatch, so maybe it was, like I said, a bit of a color change, but it's okay. That's what they're there for. Whoops. Let's go back to the table real quick, just because these things, I don't want it to, I want to at least, there we go. That looks so much better, oh my gosh. I'll leave everything else a bit, just because they're close enough, but for the sake of this one, I'm just going to leave it alone. Mm. Was this one also? Okay, I guess. Okay, alright. There you go. That looks a little bit better than what was there before. Okay. It's okay. Anyways, okay, so back to what I was doing. So let's go back to believe this one is Marty. So Marty and Eli. And then put Marty here, Marty here, Eli here. And then let's get Dawn. And then do Kirby. Oopsies. And then Steve. Wait, Steve. And then Dawn. And then Kirby again, I believe. And then Steve. And then let's do random NPC number 2. Yeah, I always try to be varied with the thing. If I remember correctly, that is another that woman is actually another character, so I have to be committed to that one. Let's do Mocha. Let's do the color. Let's do this guy. And this one. Okay, let's do more. Let's do Eli. That's Smarty. Oh, wait, no, that's this guy. Okay. Alright, so there we go. We got the first part of coloring these guys as they're supposed to. So what I'm going to do is in this folder layer, I'm going to add a new layer. And then there's something here called clipping. It'll clip basically to whatever's under there. And you can actually stack these. So that way, when I color in, it stays in what layer it's clipped on. That way you have your layers separated when it comes to the colors and you can do what you want with them, but you don't have to worry about everything being in a single layer. And then me putting everything in a folder just makes things a bit more organized. Neat little party trick. So yeah, so I'm going to start off with the hair first. And I'm going to color these to the same one as before. It's just easier. Like I said, it's just something for me to do. So this is something I do just so it's easier for me to see before I do the coloring. I wonder, wait, if it'll look fine. Yeah, it should be fine. Like I said, I always, let's make this a bit darker just so it's easier for me to see. And let's up the saturation a bit. There we go. Like I said, I jumped from, like, different types of ways to color. Just one, to keep it fresh for me, and also, yeah. And I guess in a streamer perspective, I guess in a viewer perspective, it's a bit fun. It's like, I guess like it's more. I guess it's more entertaining. I don't know. Like, would this be entertaining? Like just seeing different ways. Like I said, of just like the cookie cutter. Make this quick. 1 second. Yeah, Dad.
Oh, sorry. Can we have some of your cheese sticks?
Can you save me one? Can you save me one? Alright. Sorry, Dad was walking in because I bought some cheese sticks from like those cheese logs or whatever from friggin' Dave's Hot Chicken, and he found them and he asked if he could have some, and I'm just like, just save me one, please, because I'm a good daughter. Yeah, okay, no. Box references. Power squared. Issue 30. No. Complete. Issue 30 here. Okay. Okay, I forgot to do a thing. Oopsies. Okay. Hey, what? Oh, I see. Mhm. Okay, I know for a fact that is Marty, so I am going to play with the liner a bit because they forgot to make this a T. There we go. There we are. Just put that, and then there we go. Okay, I think that should be all for the guys. Let's do this one next. I think I'm just gonna keep it one layer. Let's see. Let's do that. And then let's put these in a folder that way. Okay, I still have other stuff to do. gosh. Let's see. Okay, I think we're just about good with the highlights here. then with the gradients and stuff, it does help me a bit with the shadowing. But I think this is where I'm gonna stop the stream for now. Actually, yeah. Time lapse. And then what I did earlier when exporting the time lapse, this is basically what we did. Like I said, I'll probably play around with the shadows and stuff later, but for the most part, it's pretty good to finish up. Being said, I have been streaming for about a couple hours, so I feel like this is a good place to stop. That being said, thank you guys for watching. If you guys did like this little chill draw and talk type of thing, let us know in the comments if you did like it. If you would like to see more, just subscribe to the channel and give the Twitch channel a bit of a good follow if you'd like. That being said, though, I am Julia Canon, and you've been on the air with Powered Squared, and I wish you all